The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Benton County, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35424. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just at the front bumper area. Under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks attached to the front frame rail. As we move up onto the bumper face, you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver's side. On the passenger side, you'll find at the bumper face your mechanical siren. And directly in the center, you'll find your PA and electronic siren speaker. Let's move up onto the bumper extension, where you'll find a D handle gains access into the front bumper load. As we move over to the driver's side, you'll find a swivel discharge. Moving up to the cab area, on the outer edges, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Moving just inside of that location on the face, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam will be located on the inside. Moving up from that location, you'll find a turn indicator and also emergency light. Directly over the Pierce logo is where you'll find your Opticom. Moving up to the seamless one-piece windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. And as we move to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Moving further up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find 2 emergency light bars, one on the passenger side and one on the driver's side, and then move directly in the center, you'll find your aerial ladder with nozzle. We'll go ahead and take a look at some items here. First, let's start with a general view of the side of the apparatus. And we'll focus now in on the cab area. Let's start with your front axle. You have a sight gauge located in the center of the axle area. As we move to the bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Let's move up onto the cab, which we previously mentioned, the turn indicator marker light on the A-pillar. Grab handles located at points of entry. They are easily accessible with a gloved hand, and they are also keyed. Right next to them, you'll find grab handles for in and out of the cab area for firefighter safety. Directly over the axle, you'll find an auto-eject shoreline inlet. Right next to that, you'll find an auto-eject air inlet. And then as we move to the rear section of the cab, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, let's start with the front bumper area. Swivel discharge, D-handle gains you access into the front hose storage location. As we move inside this area, you'll find dry deck material inside. Let's go ahead and go around to the driver's side of the cab. Let's start first with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find in the center the door lock and latch, manual window controls, and grab handle. As we move into the cab at the base of the pedestal, you'll find when plugged into shore power, your auto battery charging system will become active. I'd also like to point out this yellow placard. We'll go over that next. This is the manufactured for your department from Pierce, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, and all of the components, fluid capacities, and fluid types. Let's move to the floorboard, where you'll find a mechanical siren foot pedal on your left side. As we move up into the space of the operator, let's start with the left-hand side on the A-pillar, first starting with the silver master battery switch. As we move to the right, you'll find a tech module, and then further to the right, you'll find the engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port. As we move down, you'll find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, and engine diagnostics and regen inhibit switches. All the way to the very far right, you'll find the display module port. Let's go ahead and move upward from this location. Within the same vicinity, you have some switches. First, aerial master, aerial PTO, load manager, and tire chains. On the opposite side of the column, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions here from road to pump, and also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators for pump operations before exiting the cab. Pump engaged and OK to pump.
Let's move up to the dash area. Starting on the left-hand side, you'll find your ignition and start switch. As we move just slightly to the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage and disengage all emergency lights. To the right, you'll also find your headlight switch and panel switch, allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. And on the right side, you'll find your high idle and high idle OK to engage. To the left, you'll find your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temp. On the right, you'll find front and rear air, fuel, and volts. In the center, you'll find your tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information displays above and below the speedometer area. Let's go ahead and take a look just to the right of the dash area. General view, first at the very top, this is your Pierce command zone display. As we move downward from that location, the yellow diamond is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Further to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout. Let's go back up to the command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more detail. Also, as we move down, you'll find your engine brake on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high, mirror heat, front wheel lock, and off-road traction. Let's move downward from this location where you'll find your Allison transmission pad, digital readout, and then also at the very bottom section, you'll find your flat and convex mirror controls. In the center, you'll find climate control for heat and air conditioning and defrost. Moving slightly to the right, you'll find your unit radio on a swivel. Let's move behind the driver's seat where you'll find this speaker. There is volume control located on the face. This is for your backup camera. Just to the right, you'll find a 12-volt access bus. And then moving further to the right, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this outlet will become active. Let's move back to the center of the cab where you'll find if illuminating, do not move your apparatus when lit. You have a compartment or door open. Let's move to the exterior now. First, let's start on the driver's side with your shoreline inlet 20 amp auto eject plug. Right next to it, you'll find the air eject. Let's go ahead and move into the rear section of the cab area. First, let's start with the door panel. All of our safety and warning information are displayed on the door panel. Latch and lock mechanism, manual window control, and grab handle. As we move to the center area, you'll find lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear section of the engine where you'll do your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear cab where you'll find 2 seats, SCBAs in the background. And let's move exterior now. As we start at the very rear section of the cab wall, you'll find your pole light. And then we'll go ahead and move now into the crosslays. But first, let's take a look at the close-up of the cab light. There is a set screw in the upper portion. And let's go back now to the crosslays. There are 3 crosslays located here. They're clearly color-coded and labeled. There's also a warning label for entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Let's move now down to the pump panel where you'll find on the left-hand side a placard regarding your Husky 3 foam system specifications. You'll also find in the red module, this is your Husky foam system control module, and further to the right you'll find the A foam level tank indicator. To the right into the gray module, you'll find your master intake and master discharge gauges. In between the 2 of those are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. Moving further to the right, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. Just to the right of that is where you'll find an audible alarm speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to brighten or dampen the sound. Also to the right, you'll find a set of switches with an indicator light indicating OK to pump. Further to the right, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And as we move down, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. As we move further to the right, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the right in the pink, you'll find the aerial discharge. It is a wheel valve. And then moving to the right, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. You'll also find a warning label here. If you're climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move down, you'll find additional discharges, color-coded and labeled. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find the green large diameter pump discharge. Moving further to the right, you'll find the number 1 rear pre-connected discharge. And as we move upward, you'll find the blue module, which is your water tank level indicator. Right next to that is where you'll find the fire pump primer. It is a push to prime air prime, and there are instructions below for 1,000 RPMs for best practices. And as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find your tank to pump. Let's go back and take a look at some of those things that we just talked about. First, this is your wattress placard, indicating that you have a capacity of 2,000 GPM. To the right, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 test pressures. On the left is the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPM. The 5-digit job number is in the upper left-hand corner, 35424. Let's move downward on the pump panel. We'll identify a few more items, starting with this warning label, pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also to the right, you'll find the two 2.5-inch discharges located on the driver's side. Moving further to the right, the Pierce American Flag Eagle. This is your large diameter pump intake. Moving further to the right, this is your manual pump shift. And then all the way to the very far right, kind of hard to see in this picture, this is your pump drain. Let's move all the way down to the left to another warning label here regarding danger. Because of this being an aerial device and the possibility of entanglement into wires, we do have a warning and danger placard. Also, this is the placard we mentioned previously, your wattress placard. Moving further to the right, you have a warning here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and only after they received proper training. You'll also find the 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. This is a female ball valve. And then moving further to the right, there are two pan doors, first access panel and also lift and turn at the very bottom section. We'll go over that in a moment. This is also your foam function fill and draft. And then as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find all of our color-coded labeled discharge drains, and also this warning regarding foam failure: don't mix different brands or consistencies. You'll also find the foam discharge drain and foam pump intake drain located just under the diamond-plated running board. Let's go ahead and move just upward from this location. This is the pump panel pull-out step area. And then let's go back into the pump panel area with the two pan doors. First, you can see inside the yellow handle. This is regarding the foam fill operations and operations. The yellow handle will match the instructions on the doorway for the function you're operating. Let's go ahead and move now through the compartment doors. We'll first start with the driver's side. In the upper left-hand corner, there are a few items here I'd like to talk about. You'll also find down at the very bottom section, you have a pull-out tray, which has the release mechanism on the lower right-hand side. Just underneath this location, just in front of the rear axle, is where you'll find your storage location for your folding wheel chocks. Let's go ahead and take a look with the tray in the outright position. Once again, on the right, there is the release mechanism to restore it back to its original position. Let's move back upward. At the very top section, you'll find your battery charger. When plugged into shore power, this will become active to maintain your batteries. Quick look here at the breaker panel. This is on the vertical wall. As we look to the compartment next to that, you'll find the D handle will gain you access to the rear section of the toolboard. Once that is open, you'll also find a release mechanism lock on the hinge side. Let's move down. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find the fill location for your DEF tank. This is a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. It is the blue cap. Let's go ahead and move to the rear section of the axle where you'll find SCBA bottle storage location, and you'll also find these warning labels regarding crush hazard, because this is your outrigger that moves in and out for the stabilizer. And also on the right, you'll find a danger regarding electrocution hazard because your vehicle is not insulated. As we move to the very rear compartment, you'll find adjustable shelves and also a pull-out tray on the lower section. The release mechanism, once again, is on the lower right-hand side. Quick view of the side of the vehicle with all of your compartment doors in the open position. Let's go ahead and move now to the rear of the apparatus. We'll identify a few things within this area. First, let's start in the upper left-hand corner with your hose trough area, and also a warning label regarding entanglement hazard. Once again, because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement from the hose coming out of the hose tray. As we move down, we have two cupped switches, first deck lights and also hose bed lights. And then as we move to the ladder compartment, you'll find two 16-foot ladders and then also a 24-foot extension. In addition, at the very top, a 6-foot pike pole. As we move just underneath the pan door, you'll find your stabilizer control. This is for the rear stabilizer. And also you'll find an inclinometer from left to right. We need to operate within the green area. You'll also find some warning labels here regarding direct pull on the anchor and also pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move down to the roll-up compartment door in the very bottom section, you'll find access panel to the rear. Let's go ahead and move further down where you'll find on the left an inclinometer. This is for front to back. You'll also find the fill location for the ultra low sulfur diesel. Just up from that location, you'll find the backup camera. And then further to the right, you'll find your manual control valves. On the left is where you're going to find the diverter switch, either to aerial mode or stabilizer mode. And then further to the right, you'll find all of your function valves. Let's go ahead and take a look now. This is the silver ultra low sulfur diesel. It is the silver cap once again. As we move now to the override section, you'll find the diverter valve on the left-hand side, and then also all of your control valves located in the center area. There are instructions regarding the stabilizer manual operation buttons and also danger and warning information. As we move further down, you'll find your drain for your aerial device. It is a ball valve. And as we move to the center, you'll find the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is the aerial inlet. On each side, you'll also find the attachment points or anchor points, which are for direct pull purposes. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the pan door at the rear. Once again, this is the ball valve for your aerial drain. Then we'll go ahead and move up to the upper right-hand corner. You have an additional hose chute. As we move downward from this location, you'll find ladders and also long-handled tools. And as we move further down, you'll find your control module and also warning information regarding fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And if you're climbing on the vehicle, always face the vehicle while climbing. Let's move back to the stabilizer control door. On the back side of the stabilizer control door is where you'll find this warning label, aerial stability hazard. Before operating the aerial device, set up on firm surfaces only. Place pads beneath stabilizer jacks, extend stabilizer beams, and lower the jacks into pads. Failure to comply may injure or kill. You'll also find an additional warning label here regarding anchor, always a direct pull when utilizing the anchor system. As we move down, you'll also find an additional warning label here regarding danger electrocution hazard because the equipment is not insulated. As we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, in the upper portion rear compartment, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this outlet will become active. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find adjustable shelves and a pull-out tray. Close up here of the shoreline inverter receptacle, this is 20 amp. As we move down, you'll also find the pull-out tray in the outright position. Let's move now to the side of the vehicle, identify a few more items, same as the passenger side when it comes to safety and warning information placards. You'll also find SCBA bottle storage locations on this side for 2 SCBAs to the rear of the axle. As we move into the compartments, you'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting. And then as we move to the very front section, you'll find an additional SCBA bottle storage location. In the upper corner, you'll find inverted power and shoreline power receptacles. And as we move just to the base of this area, you'll find your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations, and set up a safety plan. Let's move further down where you'll find your automatic tire chains. And then as we move to the forward compartment, you'll find at the very bottom section, just in front of the exhaust, is where you'll find your folding wheel chocks. This compartment also has a pull-out tray and also adjustable shelving. We're now to the pump panel area where you'll find at the very top section a D handle will gain you access into this long compartment space. As we move downward from this area, we'll go ahead and cover the items within the compartment just below this, which is an access panel door for gaining access behind the pump panel. As we move to the forward section of this area, you'll find some warning labels here regarding pressure hazard. We've mentioned that plaque before, and then also your cab lift function. There is instructions to raise and also to lower, and also ensuring that you have all items safely secured inside the cab before the operation. As we move downward, you'll find the Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is your large diameter pump intake. You'll also find the green passenger side large diameter discharge and also a 2.5 inch discharge. At the very bottom, you'll find your auxiliary inlet. This is going to be a 2.5 inch female ball valve. At the very bottom, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's take a look at the rear section of the cab wall where you'll find your pole light. At the very top is the light. You'll also find a set screw down in the bottom section of the pole for securing its location. Let's go ahead and move now to the cab. Same configuration as we have on the driver's side, so I'll skip through that process, but let's go inside this area. Once again, affixed to the door panel, we have all of our safety and warning information. We have the 2 seats on the very rear section. Also on the driver's side, an additional rear-facing seat, and then an EMS compartment on the lower right. Overhead, you'll find push on and off red or white lens lights. And then once again, manual window control, latch and lock, grab handle. As we move to the exterior, you'll find exterior access only on the compartment directly behind the officer seat, adjustable shelf. Let's move inside to the officer space, where you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find manual window controls, grab handle, lock and latch, and also safety warning information. At the floor area, you'll find a foot pedal for your mechanical siren. Let's move to the dash area. On the right, you'll find your portable radio charger. On the left, you'll find 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. And then also to the very far left, you'll have siren and also air horn controls. I have a close-up here of that item: air horn, siren brake, and electronic siren. Let's go ahead and move overhead in the officer position. General view here. As we move more toward the center, you'll find your unit radio here. This is going to be a Panasonic Weatherband Sirius XM AM/FM radio and CD player. To the right, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these rocker switches have been engaged, the light will illuminate, indicating the switch is active. Let's go ahead and take a look at a general view here of the side of the apparatus. Compartments in the open position will now move underneath the vehicle. Quick view of the tire chains. And then let's go ahead and move now up to the pedestal area. Let's start on the left-hand side forward position. This is going to be your intercom system, push to talk just beneath that, and volume control. As we move down, on the left-hand side of the cover is where you'll find your NFPA information regarding the ladder, and then also you'll find safety and warning information placards and danger placards. As we move to the right, you'll find a digital waterway flow, and then moving to the right, you'll find also a system hydraulic pressure for your aerial device. As we move down further to the left, you'll find nozzle control, and then further to the right, you'll find the levers, which are going to be retract, extend, left, right, raise, lower. Let's go back to the cover area, where you'll find your NFPA specification for 1911 testing, waterway dry operations with a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition, and waterway charged with a 35-mile-an-hour wind condition. You'll also find monitor nozzle positions, and at the very bottom, asterisk information regarding inclement weather. General view here of the pedestal itself with the cover in the open position. Let's move now to the ladder. At the very base, you'll find your deadband switch for operation of the aerial device. Also, this is a 3-section aluminum ladder. Let's go ahead and move out to the tip of the aerial device, where you'll find the nozzle. You'll also find the ability to either have the nozzle at the tip of the ladder or to reduce the location for rescue operations. This is the mechanism. Please see the owner's manual for this operation. Also in the upper right-hand side is where you're going to find your nozzle control for right, left, up and down, fog, or straight stream. On the left-hand side of the ladder, you will find a passive intercom system. There is a volume control. As we move to the outer edge, this is on the left side of the ladder, you'll find tip light control. And now as we move to the dunnage area, at the very front section of the bulkhead, you'll find the 2.5-inch discharge. You'll also find top fill location for your water tank. And then to the right, you'll find top fill for the foam tank. Let's go ahead and move forward to this location of the dunnage. This is where you're going to find your Husky 3 foam system reservoir. There is a fill location here and also a sight gauge. As we move down, once again, top fill for your water tank. As we move to the foam, I would like to point out this warning label. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the cab, you'll find 2 placards here regarding warning. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these 2 placards located here. Quick image of the ladder in the upright position from the passenger side, stabilizers deployed. Congratulations, Benton County, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus. job number 35424. If you have any questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.